Well, good morning, everybody. This is the news that we are waking up to for Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, day 1065 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. I'm Peter Alexievich, and starting with last night's overnight missile and drone attack. Now, here's the thing, and we'll talk about Zaporizhia at the end, but last night, again, the Ukrainians deal with these drones just fine. It's the missiles, right? They send in 100 drones like they did last night, well, 92 anyway. And the Ukrainians, when they published this information just about an hour ago, 84 of them have been dealt with by active countermeasures or just shot down. There were still 3 birds in the air at the time of this recording. The Air Force has not yet announced what happened to those last 3. So regardless, it's a 91% interception rate on the drones. The missile attacks, that's another story. And we'll talk about that coming up here. Now, this is incredible. This is just amazing. Just yesterday, I informed everybody that the Syrians had officially canceled the port lease on Tartus for the Russians, right? It's officially canceled. The new Syrian government is in control of the port. Russia is out. Bang. What I did not know at the time is that they also gave the go-ahead for the Sparta 1 and the Sparta 2, the 2 cargo ships that have been standing off the port out in the Mediterranean for the last 3 weeks, waiting to get in and pick up all of that Russian equipment. They let them into the port. The only thing is, one of the cargo ships was loaded with these trucks. And this is a still from the video that was taken at the port. And you can see the translation here. The Syrian authorities confiscate Russian pickup trucks. Now, as I understand it, these are some kind of Chinese-made MG, I think is what they're called, is the manufacturer rather. And you can see them offloading the trucks. Now, that's not all that the Syrians have now confiscated. They have taken in and distributed to their own army all of the abandoned armored vehicles across the country. Now, that includes everything that was at bases that were surrounded, where they let the people leave, but none of the equipment, right? So all that now belongs to the Syrians. Israel now look, there's probably not much, right? But every little bit helps. Israel has offered to transfer to Ukraine all of the Russian-made weapons that it confiscated from Hezbollah. And about 60% of the weapons confiscated are, in fact, of Russian manufacture. Russian manufacture, Soviet manufacture, those are technologies that are compatible with everything the Ukrainians have and their own experiences. And so this includes Dragunov sniper rifles, SPG-9 launchers, Coronet anti-tank missiles, and 1 Coronet-E portable launcher. So at the very least, that's what the inventory looks like. The Ukrainian representative and his Israeli counterpart discussed the situation, and it appears that Ukraine is happy to receive these weapons. In their conversation, they also recognized their shared challenges with Russia and with a Russia-backed Iran. Amid growing concerns as the 2 aggressor nations have recently signed a mutual defense pact, and both countries are drawing together more closely, both militarily and economically, which is of great concern to all the world, as both of these nations are the sponsors of terror on earth. They are the courts of chaos. So Ukraine will be happy to get a few more rifles. Now, according to the New York Times, quoting Pentagon sources, and this information is also confirmed by the GUR here, Lieutenant General Budanov concurs with this assessment. North Korea plans to send at least 150 KN-23 missiles. Those are the ballistic missiles that we've seen come down here in Kyiv. Artillery shells and systems. Now, last time they sent, we believe that they've sent about 5.2 million 152 millimeter shells. What's left in the stockpile, what they can send, we don't know the answer to that. But more are on their way. As well as, within the next 60 days, it's estimated, additional North Korean troops. So for Kim, the whole sending of troops, let's be clear, is a purely transactional deal. Russia is buying the lives of these North Korean soldiers. And the first 12,000, Kim paid $22,636 apiece for. Or I'm sorry, he received $22,636 apiece for. That's what a Russian life, or a North Korean life, is worth to their dear leader. And he is happy to put that money in his pocket. So now this story comes to us from an Atesh partisan who is embedded with the 64th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade in Zaporizhia. This is a Ukrainian spy who is pretending to be a Russian soldier. I mean, they find out who he is. The guy's dead. I cannot stress enough to you the kind of respect, admiration that I have for these guys behind the lines, doing what they're doing, putting their lives on the line every day to try to help save the Ukrainians. So in Zaporizhia, this embedded Atesh partisan reports that on January 14th, a Russian soldier shot and killed his commander and also wounded a sergeant. The guy was a driver mechanic from a grenade launcher platoon. It is said that the conditions of being in the Russian service in Zaporizhia are unbearable. That torture, intimidation, theft of soldiers' salary cards by their commanders, or force bribes to the commanders to avoid going on assaults, for example, right? You have to bribe your commander so you don't get killed out there. These are all common complaints of Russian soldiery in the Southern Military District. Now, it is worth pointing out that according to the Atesh Group and the GUR, it is believed that in the Southern Military District, which encompasses Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Crimea, as many as 18,000 soldiers have deserted over the last 16 months or so. 18,000. Now, with a force of nearly 1 million in the country, or I think the last number I heard was 650,000. 18,000 is a small percentage, but it speaks to the fact that there is no confidence among the Russian soldiery in their command. And eventually that will reach a breaking point for everybody, just like it did for this kid in the 64th. Now, Trump put this out on Truth Social. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you take a look at it, he's still trying to placate the Russians. I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people. Russia was a hoax. We must now, and then out of nowhere, he pulls up the big talking point, right? That Putin, as he spins his mythology of who the USSR was, focuses on in every conversation. We beat the Nazis. We are the victors of the Great Patriotic War. We did it. never mentioning Lend-Lease, never mentioning the rest of the allies, never meant, right? But Trump repeats that talking point. That is very disconcerting to me. Now, he does get some things right? He goes on to say that he's going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a big favor, right? Like, the transactional nature of this person, I mean, just the, trust me, bro, I'm doing you a favor, right? Give up the occupied territories, put an end to this. Or he then threatens taxes and tariffs and sanctions. It's, oh my. So this is where we're at. This is what Trump is saying publicly. And clearly there is a desire to end this war. I think it's mostly driven by his desire for a Nobel Peace Prize. If Barack Obama deserved one, certainly he does too. And that's really what this is about with him. Now, on January 21st, so 2 days ago, a Russian plane dropped a Fab 500 bound bomb on the occupied territory of Makayivka, which is in the Donetsk region. Now, it landed away from any homes. It landed out in a field. But these things leave a crater that's like 100 feet across, 30 meters. It's unbelievable. Now, this is one of the most recent occurrences of friendly fire. There have been 7. This is the 7th Fab of 2025 to fall on Russia or its occupied territories. There was also 1 missile in 2025 that landed on its own territory. And it is, if we look at last year, 2024, 165 of these bombs landed on Russia or their occupied territories, the territories they claim as their own. Which is I never hear about this from the Ukrainian side. We never get a report that the Ukrainians shelled their own. That I have not seen. Okay, now I did say in Zaporizhia we had this come up. This was a bad one last night. We don't yet have a number of dead. The number's bound to go up. Or injured. That number is also bound to go up. Several missiles struck in Zaporizhia City. And we're waiting for the official damage assessments. I did think this was something. The owner of this home was killed in last night's attack. The dog refuses to leave. And that loyalty, that dedication in the midst of this chaos really touched my heart. It really touched my heart. And we're sorry that dog is homeless now. Okay. And of course, for the tragedy of the loss of his owner. We also got video today, which I will not show, of 6 Ukrainian POWs being summarily executed, being told to lie down on the ground, and then being shot in the back of the head. And so clearly the Russians, and there seems to be an almost personal piece to this with the Russians torturing and murdering Ukrainian POWs. Their army, their way of life, everything that they are, is being shown up as shit. And they can't take it. And the cruelty now has taken over. I don't know what we can do to prevent Ukrainian POWs. And for those who get taken, it's a nightmare of war crimes and sadistic cruelty for no reason other than its own self. All right. I'll see you on the live at 5 tonight.